Good morning. It is Monday at about 9:45. I'm getting ready to start my second session with my switch class. My first session went relatively well. There was a couple of technical issues again that are easily fixed, but just things that I have to remember to think about because all this is new, and it's really an example of me needing to give myself some grace. But I thought I would try and record a little segment of me teaching, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Like, this is like the true test as far as I'm concerned, because this is the week that we're going to start actual teaching, and I'll be able to see if like I really have things ready to go the way that I think I do. So I'm going to record a little bit of me teaching at some point, and then I'll kind of rehash what my little technical issues were before and how I'm feeling now that I've actually taught some like curriculum. So stay tuned. Those are his thoughts on what creates suspense. Let me turn my camera back on. And so what he's saying is that there are some people that make movies like he does, suspense movies, and that movie is just a series of events where you as the viewer has to just guess and try and figure out what's happening, what's going on, and that is how they are choosing to create suspense. He's saying that's not what he's chosen to do, and he's still been successful at creating these suspenseful movies. So the movie, he talks about several movies, but the movie that he talks about the most, and that we're gonna look at in a second, is a movie that's called Rope. And so there are two things that he mentions. He tells you that in this movie, the audience knows from the very beginning what has occurred, who's done it. So in case you didn't understand, because his language is a little bit older, this movie is about two men who murder someone, and you as the audience know it. They strangle him with a rope, which is why the movie is called Rope. And not only do they kill him, but they take the body and they stuff it in a chest that's inside their apartment, and then they host this beautiful dinner party with this dead body in the chest. And so as the audience, you're watching this and you know that that's happened. But all the people in the dinner party obviously don't know, because who's going to go to a dinner party with the dead body, you know, basically sitting in your coffee table? And so for him, that's how he's allowed the audience to play God. The second thing he talks about is just contrast. So he creates suspense by having contrast. So you're gonna see that this dinner party is very elegant, very sophisticated. It's obviously a nice apartment. You can assume that the people at the dinner party, you know, do pretty well for themselves. And so you have the contrast of this beautiful environment and this beautiful apartment with the fact that someone's just been murdered, which is obviously not a beautiful thing to think about. So you are going to watch the clip. It's a very old clip, but this was like the trailer or the movie preview that someone would have seen. The movie is from 1948, so you know, it's older. And what I want you to do is just kind of watch the movie clip and think about the plot of the movie as I've explained it, and just think to yourself, is the movie Rope a really good example of letting the audience play God? And then why or why not? And we'll answer that question through Nearpod. And then someone just said in the chat that they got here. I'm gonna show you the movie clip in a second. I haven't taken attendance yet because we had some tech issues, so you're good, okay? Yes, I'm gonna share on the screen, so sit tight. Good morning, it's Tuesday. I normally start vlogs in the car on a Monday, but it's Tuesday. I didn't start it in the car yesterday because I was a little frazzled about getting to work and taking care of something. I did vlog yesterday, and as most of you know, if you're a subscriber and you follow me on Instagram, you know that this year I'm going to vlog, but it may not be as consistent as it has been, meaning I may not necessarily upload every Sunday. So like the format and the start of the vlogs might be a little bit different for that reason. But I definitely wanted to vlog this week because I think I said yesterday, this is the first full week of teaching, and I want to be able to show what that really is like, aside from just the first day of school where it was a very shortened and relaxed schedule. Today's big focus, and I'm hoping to report good news later in the day, is just trying to get my attendance system under control. So a few weeks ago, I had this idea where I would have kids answer a question of the day on Padlet for attendance because it would timestamp it. A lot of you, at the time I was using Google Meets, and a lot of you say Google Meets has a report that does attendance for you, which I thought great. But then soon after that, the district announced that they are not paying, or we're not using Google Meets anymore because Google has decided to now charge for Google Meets, and they were looking to charge the district some insanely expensive amount. And Zoom was significantly cheaper. Like, they're both expensive, but Zoom was exceptionally cheaper. So we are now primarily sticking with Zoom unless you're a teacher that has chosen to pay for Google Meets to have that service provided. I'm not one of those teachers that's going to be paying for that. So that report just didn't work. So I've done the question of the day through Padlet, and it's a good concept, but what I didn't account for is that it doesn't, the responses are not going to be alphabetized in any way. So when I'm looking at the responses on Padlet and having to cross-reference it with this crazy spreadsheet that we had to create, or that the office had to create for attendance, because even attendance in this virtual situation is totally different and is some foreign thing. It's time consuming because it's not, I have to search for a name and then check it on the spreadsheet. So it just didn't work. I like the question of the day. I'll still do that because I like just having something casual like that to start the day. But my exceptionally technologically savvy friend, Darren Nakakihara, who has a YouTube channel as well as on Instagram, has created this Teachers Pay Teachers product that I believe is going to be the solution to my attendance woes. So I will be sure to link it in the description box. I set everything up last night. I watched his video. He has a video that walks you through how to set it up. It looks like it's just going to be a game changer for attendance. And today is going to be the first day that I use it. I'm going to have to really handhold everybody through attendance today to make sure that we can get that routine locked down and in place, because we need to. So that will be my focus of today's little footage, is just trying that attendance feature out with both classes, and then sharing with you all whether or not it worked. I know that it's not going to make anything any more complicated or any more like cumbersome than it already is, so I'm feeling very optimistic. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to share with you guys today, and maybe something else, but I don't know. I'm hoping that the amount of emails and messages that I'm getting dwindles each day, but I don't know. I'm at work. I don't have anything else to say right now, so I will check in with you guys later on, and I'll give you an update on my attendance adventure. Well, hello. I'm home, guys. It's I'm gonna go ahead and say about 5:40. I did not pick up the camera in my classroom at all today, because when you saw me this morning, I was relatively relaxed as one's going to be in this particular situation, but relaxed because I knew what I was doing. I was pretty sure I was set up for things. Oh my gosh, my dog sometimes. Jenny, I need you to work with me, honey. Pretty much set up with things. I knew there was going to probably be some glitch somewhere, but that it would be easily fixed. Hold on, I gotta wipe my dog's nose. I can't. All right, I'm back. I had to wipe my dog's nose. So I think I was saying I was calm. I felt like I knew what I was doing. I've accepted the fact that something with technology is going to go wrong at some point, and that's just the way it's going to be for a little while, until we just really master everything. And at around 8 o'clock is when things just got really hectic, because my partner teacher and I realized that the schedules that the students had conflicted. So like, for example, my homeroom students, on the schedule that I have for them, my group of students that are my homeroom students, their schedule for me says that they're going to PE from 8:10 to 9. However, on my partner teacher's schedule, which is their switch teacher, it told them that also from 8:10 to 9 that they were going to be in class with her. And so they were confused, we were confused, parents were confused. Add to that, the PE teacher that they were going to, I think, misread something somewhere and told them that they were supposed to be at PE at 9 o'clock. So imagine the kids are confused, so they're sending messages. The parents are confused, so they're sending messages. We, the teachers, are confused, like, what's going on? And so it just got crazy. So we went to the office, they realized there was something going on, and they started working on fixing that after we talked it all through. Then I had class. I tried to use Jamboard today, which I had used before, but there was a little technical issue, and I'm going to try and remember all the little technical issues that I've come across to help those of you that are going to be jumping into this out. There was an issue with Jamboard. There was an issue with the kids accessing my morning slide with the agenda on it, as well as the question of the day slide. And then I have this issue with Cami. So let's talk through these progressively. My issue with the question of the day slide and the morning slide, which is their agenda slide, is I shared it with them once as a PDF, not realizing, okay, if you make the slide a PDF, then the link that you've embedded for the Zoom meeting, the link is not active. Like, it's just, you can see that it was made a link, but the kids can't actually click on it and get there, which was okay because the link they needed was just housed on Google Classroom anyway. So I learned that. So then the next time I was like, okay, I'm not gonna share it as a PDF or a PNG, I should say. I'm gonna share the actual slide. So I shared the link, and they had to request access because I forgot to make it so that anyone in my school district's network had access to it. Fixed that today. Same with the daily slide. I shared the slide with them, but forgot to change the access setting to say that anyone in the district had access to it. Easily fixed. The Cami, so what that means is if you're gonna share a slide with your students and there's something that you want them to do with it, like view it or click on something to get somewhere else, you need to share the actual slide and not a PNG if it's an embedded link. And you need to make sure that when you share or copy the link that it either says anyone with the link, if that's what you're choosing to do, or anyone within this particular network or school district or whatever the wording of that is. So those are the mistakes I made. Then with Cami, I have students using it, and making assignments is fine. I'm using the free version. So I'm not creating the assignments directly on Google Classroom or directly on Google Classroom through Cami. I'm just creating the assignments as PDFs on Google Classroom, and the kids are able to open it with Cami because that's the free account. So we were working on something yesterday. It was going great. I was like, okay, this is good. I understand Cami. And then when it came to turn in, some kids could turn it in with no problem. Other kids were clicking that turn in button and it was telling them that they needed to upgrade or I needed to upgrade. I emailed several people. I wasn't getting a response because everybody's busy. This morning, if you saw my Instagram post today where I said I yelled out loud, it was me yelling at my friend, like basically saying, I am going to lose it. And so she helped me to figure out how to get the Cami thing worked out. You basically need them to download it into their Google Drive and then attach it to Google Classroom. So that was good, but the good news in all that is in the process, I remembered that I do have a free trial for Cami for 6 months because I attended a training. So I'm gonna be using that. The other issue is Jamboard. Had a Jamboard all set up. We were looking at story elements. I'm like, okay, cutie pie, make your little post-it note, stick it there. And then the kids are typing in the chat, we can't make a sticky note. And so I didn't know why. So then I was like, okay, we'll just talk it through, and then mentally know I have to fix it before my switch class. So then between classes, I had to find a quick YouTube video that told me what I needed to know. You can have a maximum, I think it said, of 50 people working on one Jamboard. I think. But what I hadn't done is I had to share the link to the Jamboard with my students, but I had to make sure all the students were listed as editors, which basically means they're in that document live and they could move things around. So I had to tell them, don't move anything around because you're actually acting as an editor. I just have you in here so that you can add post-it notes. Now those things seem little, but when you're experiencing that over and over with just different things all day, it just really brings your anxiety to a whole nother level. So that is how the day went in general. As far as the attendance tracker, because that was really why I was coming on today, that worked beautifully. I just did an Insta story about it because I believe it. And if you know me and you've been following me a while, you know that Darren and I are friends. I know him. He's made many a products. I don't just buy things and talk about them because it's a friend of mine. I am legitimately talking about this because it's great. We have some convoluted spreadsheet at my school for attendance that just, the way it's set up just doesn't work for my brain. Like I look at it and I just get so like confused and agitated. And then finding an efficient way to collect attendance in a Zoom session when you only have an hour as it is was key. I had originally thought I was going to do a question of the day using Padlet and use that because Padlet timestamps. That's a great idea in theory, but I soon realized because the kids' responses aren't alphabetized, it just wasn't efficient. So I saw this product that Darren had been talking about in his stories. It's basically a Google form that has everybody's name in a drop-down menu. The kids come to class. They find their name in the Google form, click it, click submit, and once they click that submit button, it like puts a check mark next to their name on a whole nother Google form. So at the end of class, all I have to do is look at that Google form that has been pre-populated from that, or that Google spreadsheet that has been pre-populated from the form, and know that anyone that doesn't have a check did not submit their attendance. It was great. And it's set up for the entire school year. So you only have to set up everything once and then you're good to go for the school year. And it's great. It's a time saver. So I'm going to link that in the description box. There was something else I wanted to say about it. Oh, if you buy the product, he does have a video that walks you through what you need to do to set up. Very slow paced, easy to follow. I did it last night and had no issues. So what I just finished doing is I came home. We have back to school night tomorrow. I need to work on my portion of the presentation, but I also just came home because the other reason why I need to continue to vlog is because this type of content is important to me to share. A few weeks ago on Instagram, I talked about this book because I was in a group of teachers where we were all sharing books. It's called We Are America, First Things First. This book is really for upper elementary. If you teach small kids, this is a kind of a difficult book for them to process. Like maybe you can touch on this with 5th grade, but a lot of talking through. But at the same time, even if you don't read this book, I think with younger kids, you can still talk about the concept of what it means to be American, what is America, and really talk about how people's culture, ethnic background, life experiences affects their perception of what it means to be an American or their perception of America. So in a perfect world, in a normal world, I would have just sat in class and read this to my students and we would have discussed it. But I can't do that. And I realized doing it through Zoom would be awkward, or I just didn't think it was a good idea. So what I just finished doing, you can see, there it is I just finished filming me read this book to my students with my dogs snorting and sneezing and heavy breathing in the background, but that's all I could do. So I just finished reading the book because we're going to start talking about this tomorrow. And then my grand plan is I need to make some kind of a product because there's some things I want them to interact with. And even if I don't make like a worksheet or a Google Doc or something like that, I can use this on Edpuzzle and embed some questions in it and we can just kind of discuss that way. So that's what I just finished doing. I am now going to say goodbye for the day, and I'm gonna go upstairs and I think work on my back to school night presentation and then some of this. So that was my Tuesday. I've been talking for 10 minutes, which means today's clip is already about 15 minutes. So I don't know that I will check in tomorrow because I don't want the vlog to be too long. If something exciting happens, I might check in for that reason. I might maybe share how back to school night went. But that's it. I don't have anything else to say for the day. So see you tomorrow or the next day. It's 6 o'clock. It's Thursday. It's actually 6:08 to be precise. I didn't vlog yesterday because Tuesday's clip was pretty long, and yesterday we had back to school night, and I knew I just kind of wanted to focus on making sure I was ready for that. We did it virtually. We had two options. Partner teachers could pre-record, send the pre-recorded video to parents, and then have a Zoom session that's live for question and answers. I think a lot of teachers opted to do that. My partner and I chose to just do it live. My reasoning was really because I'm trying to, whenever I can, mimic what would have really happened if we weren't doing this whole virtual teaching situation. I'm going to do it, so doing it live was as close as I can get to that. But also, just with knowing how tedious editing can be, especially when you're trying to combine two different people's video clips can be, I didn't want to do that because that just turned into an extra task like that you would have to do. So to me, it's easier to do it live because when you record things, you're more critical about, you know, stumbling over your words or whatever the case may be, and you do all these takes, and when you're live, you just kind of have to roll with it. So overall, it went well. We got, I mean, some good feedback, so that's always nice. They felt like they were informed. So that was yesterday. Today, I woke up this morning, I'm like, today's gonna be a better day. Every day gets a little bit better, and in some ways it does, but today really was the day. And even like thinking about it and like coming down from the stress, I feel like the need to cry in my throat. But today, I thought was going to be the day that I just cried about it all. So someone asked me, I think it was my principal, like, what's the hardest part, or someone, I can't remember exactly who, but really the hardest part for me, at least, is this. The hardest part is, and I don't think I said this before, I hope not. The hardest part is just the random little tech things that you don't realize you don't know. So even if you're comfortable with like doing things like Google Classroom or learning something like Jamboard or jumping into something like Nearpod or Cami, you still don't know it well enough to know like the little tiny nuances that you need to account for to make those things work. So for me, like I've just had these random little things going on where like Jamboard, I didn't realize you can't copy one Jamboard and share it with another class because that still counts as the 50 students. Cami, I can't even, what made me want to cry today is Cami. I have the free trial that I got from a training, and I attempted to use that today, and it just didn't work. Like all I really want, I know there's workarounds to this where students can turn things in through Google Classroom using the free trial, but I just have kids in different places. Some kids can, some kids cannot do it. Some kids know how to do it. And I just can't. Like, I need that to be one less thing that I'm worried about, honestly. And I think it's because some kids are tied to their old teachers, free trial, whatever. So I tried and probably spent a good hour of my time today in my prep period or my in-between time trying to figure it out. I logged in as a student. I did everything I could think of, and it just wasn't working. And so I said, you know what? I'm at the point where forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and pay the $100 for this. Like, which is not something I would normally ever do. Like, I just would not pay that kind of money for a service like that. But with social studies and language arts and what I intend to do with the students in terms of Zoom sessions and virtual teaching and live lessons, I need them to be able to annotate things, highlight things as we're doing things live, to kind of get to a point where we're recreating a classroom discussion or what we would have done in class. And as I was like in the thick of my emotions and frustration about dealing with that, my partner teacher came over to tell me something, and she could see the look on my face, and she could see that I was rebooting my computer because that was something I was trying to do to solve the problem. And just prior to that, one of the district reps, like a induction teacher coach, a coach to new teachers who's working with my partner teacher, came in, and I told her, like, what I just did and what I just spent time on, that amount of time, like literally it was about an hour, equates to me spending about an hour of my day that I can't really afford to lose. About an hour of my day just figuring out how to hand a student a piece of paper and get that piece of paper back from a student. And I have things to do. Like, I have legitimate things that need to be done. So just the frustrating part of this is just how, I can't even stress it enough, how time consuming it is just to get everything up there. And even when you think you have everything up there, you'll realize you forgot to link this, or you didn't put the privacy settings on it correctly. And that is just perpetually happening right now. And it just creates a lot of anxiety, and it's exhausting. So you already have the overwhelmedness feeling of just a regular back to school season. But then add to that everything that comes with virtual teaching, tech issues, parents needing help with tech issues, students needing help with tech issues, students saying, I can't see what you're saying, students not being able to find things. And all of that is a lot. And it's been about a week, and every day is that feeling of like, oh my God, what's gonna go wrong now? So I thought I was gonna cry, and I think it was a godsend for my partner teacher to come in at that moment, because that was right about the time where I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, I'm gonna cry. And then she came in and I had to like gather my thoughts. She realized I was having a hard time, and then she gave me my space. So a lot of you say that you appreciate the fact that I'm very honest about where I'm at and how I'm feeling. That is my honest to goodness feeling right now. I'm still enjoying the interaction with the students. So that it's not that. It has nothing to do with that. The hard part with interacting with the students is there's just something about being in person with them that helps me to memorize names, understand personalities better. That is very difficult to do through the screen. But the teaching part is good, and it gets a little bit better each day, and they get a little less shy. But the tech stuff and all of that, and the amount of emails and messages that you got to make sure you're responding to, is a whole lot. And even though I feel flustered, I have had multiple parents say that they feel like they're informed and that everything's organized. So that's at least giving me some peace of mind that for them, even though it's not totally smooth, they know it's as smooth as it can get right now, and they're very patient. So enough about my complaining. Let me kind of just show you some lessons so that you can kind of get a sense of what I've been trying to do. Some things with success and some not. So I'll just walk you through my day and just show you my Google Classroom page. I'm just holding the camera here because I don't want my school information to show. So let's see. I'm going to show you what we did on Thursday. So let me open this up. So basically, we start the day with a daily check-in. This is the amazing product from Darren Nakakihara that has saved me a ton of time and headaches with attendance. So they come in, they'll have a slide that's projected to them. So this morning when they came in, they saw this slide. I've shared this on Insta Stories. That just kind of tells them this is what we're going to do. The Zoom link has not changed, and it doesn't change. It's also linked in Google Classroom, but just in case, it's almost also here. And then this tells them their independent practice after class sessions are done. But this is what we're doing together as a class. So they start here, they do their attendance through this daily check-in. That is amazing. So when they check in, let me see if I can, well, I can't show it to you because it has student names, but just trust me. They find their name, they click it, it submits their attendance, and then it checks them off on a Google Sheet that I use at the end of the day to quickly know who is present and who was not present. And I'll make sure to link that in the description box. Today we did a Jamboard. We were talking about a short story that we read in Study Sync. Actually, oops, that's Wednesday. In Study Sync, where we're using it to kind of start the idea of our extended writing project. So they're going to have to write their own story. So I'm just giving them the basics of storytelling, and we made sure that we understood the what am I trying to say? The events of a story, like a plot map. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry guys, I'm so tired. So we plot mapped the story. I just had to grab this from a Google image because the other thing I couldn't do is screenshot on my computer today. So my anchor chart that I have from Amy Grosbeck just wasn't available. So I had to improvise and do a Google image, and I just pasted this on a Jamboard. So this is just a PDF of a Jamboard, and they did this all interactively during class. And when we finished, I just downloaded it as a PDF so that they would have access to it. So we just story mapped it together. I added that to their Google Classroom so they had it as a reference point. And so that's what we did in language arts. We also watched a vocabulary video that is linked in my plan book. Let's see. Before we did that, we did watch a vocabulary video. There we go. So we watched a vocabulary video that I had linked in Plan Book. So again, I love Plan Book just for this reason. I just open it up, click it. It takes me to the video that I want to go to. So we watched this to also teach them about the different options for point of view when writing their story. And then we did the read and respond afterwards as a whole group. I read through things. This is being projected on the screen. And then I would just randomly call on students to ask them to answer the question, and of course asking them to justify their answers as they did so. So we did that. Then we did the plot map that I just showed you. And then we did a little bit of social studies. Let me get back to my classroom page. I can't even navigate my life right now. I'm so tired, you guys. But I want to be able to show you like actual work in case you're like, okay, so what are you doing in class? So then we did a little bit of social studies, and we just started talking about the article of the week. So I did, I actually deleted that. Sorry, this is not going the way that I planned. I actually deleted that, but I did play the weekend wrap with vocabulary. That's back and up and running as of this week. So I showed them the video, said I will always show this to you on Mondays normally. And then I found a Newsella article that is related to one of the news pieces that they shared. And then we just used Cami to annotate for one color, blue, which represents comprehension. And that was pretty much it. So that's kind of like an idea of what I'm doing. I know I wasn't super coherent maybe when I said it, but hopefully it made sense, and I can only show you so much of the screen just because I don't want to show personal information. So, I mean, in that sense, I feel like it got a little bit better, or it's getting a little bit better each day. Like it's feeling more like a classroom as much as it can. But I'm telling you, these tech issues are a beast, even for people that are fairly comfortable with tech. So I will say it again. I'm saying it again for myself. I'm gonna have to be planned ahead because I have to have plenty and ample time to just get things linked, loaded, prepared, and ready to go. And I can't be doing that and planning at the same time because it just doesn't feel good to me. So with that, I'm leaving. I'm going home. I also, as a person, need to cut myself a break. I'm supposed to cook tonight. I just don't think that's in the cards. I'm going to get something to eat, which I feel a little guilty about because I got some takeout yesterday. But I have to remember the beginning of the year, like to think that I'm gonna be on a regular routine where I'm cooking, walking the dogs on a regular, just is not necessarily realistic, and that's okay. So I'm gonna go home, take care of a couple more things, decompress, and wake up for Friday. I think your name is. Since I'm new to Nearpod, I'm clicking this button that says share with class. Are they popping up for you guys? Like, do you see them when I do that?
Yeah, I see them popping up on my screen.
Okay, yeah. So what we're gonna do, and the reason why we are talking about this is because we're going to read a story, or we're gonna start listening to a story that is somewhat based on a superstition of some sort. So what I need you to do is you need a couple of things. You need this study sync book. Okay, so you need to have your study sync book. You need a blue highlighter and a yellow highlighter. If you don't have highlighters, but you have pens in that color, you can use that. If you don't have highlighters and you don't have pens in those colors, then you can just use a regular pencil or a pen and just make use of that, and that's fine. So you're gonna take this out and you're gonna turn to page number 10. You're gonna get your study sync book, this workbook. it should say suspense on it, unit 1, and you need a blue highlighter and a yellow highlighter. And you're gonna go to page 10. Okay, so while you guys are getting that, I spoke to the homeroom class, and I'm just gonna give you this courtesy reminder. Last night at about 9:30, I just scrolled through like all the Google Classroom assignments that we've had. And there's a good chunk of you that have gotten them done, but there's a good chunk of you that have just random assignments that you haven't done. So for example, last night I looked at the Edpuzzle video that I assigned you guys last night on Victorian England. Raise your hand if you watched the video, you took the quiz. Okay, if you did, great. So, but a lot of you at that point hadn't done that. And so I need you guys to know, I need to make sure everybody understands that what we're doing now is not, you can go get your materials. You guys don't have to ask me if you can go get your materials. If you leave and come back, I just assume you're getting what you need. But I need you guys to understand that what we're doing now is not like distance learning last year. So last year, in all honesty, it didn't really matter if you didn't turn in your assignments. Like, it wasn't going into a grade, you weren't gonna fail 7th grade. But this year, this is school. So if you just are not turning in assignments, it's gonna start adding up, and they will show up as Fs, and it will be a permanent grade if you don't kind of fix that situation. So you need to make sure that you're really using that independent practice time for that purpose. So from our perspective, what we're hoping that you do is, like when you left Miss Cohen and you had that 30 minutes, whatever she assigned to you, you should be working on it during that time. Whatever I assigned to you and after class you have independent practice, you should be working on it, because I'm gonna start putting grades in probably over the weekend, and then that's when things are gonna start to really add up. And if you don't catch it now, it's gonna be hard for you to kind of get caught up and stay on top of things. So if you haven't taken that Edpuzzle video or quiz, or you know there's assignments that you have not completed, the good news is that this is the first trimester and I will accept it up to a week late. But you don't want to get in the habit of doing that, because trust me, you will drown in just late work and trying to make up things that are late, plus the things that I'm currently assigning. So the purpose of yesterday's Edpuzzle video is to give you a little bit of background on Victorian England. So we're gonna read this story called The Monkey's Paw, and the background or the setting is this is taking place in Victorian England, so it's not in present time, it's a long time ago. And to give you an idea of what social classes were like during that time. So in that video, you learned that there were 3 classes. There was the wealthy class, like kings and queens. There was the working class, and working class would be kind of the equivalent of middle class. Like I would probably have been considered working class. And then there was the poor class. And when we say like the poor class, they were poor, like living on the streets, didn't have a home, didn't have any guarantee as to whether or not they were gonna have food that day. So they were extremely poor. Okay, and so you need to make sure that you understand that this family is going to be in one of those classes. So I'm going to pause the video at one point and just ask you to identify what class of people do you think this family is. Okay, so we're going to start it. The first thing I want you to do before I play the audio is, in your study sync book there are 6 bolded words. So there's 6 words that are darker than the rest. So on page 11, the first bolded word is proffered. And what I would like for you guys to do is you're gonna highlight each bolded word, because these are words that we don't think the average 8th grader would know the definition to. These are words that we think are unfamiliar to someone your age. So you're gonna highlight it in yellow, and anytime you highlight something in yellow, that means you're getting ready to make an inference or an educated guess about something. So you're gonna highlight each word in yellow, and I want you to make an educated guess as to what you think that word means. And it needs to be based on the context clues. So if I were a student and I highlighted proffered and I said, the sentence says, the sergeant major shook hands and taking the proffered seat by the fire watched contentedly while his host got out whiskey. And I said, well, I think that word means lollipop. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, why do you think it means lollipop? I mean, that makes no sense. There's nothing in that sentence that should make me think the word proffered means lollipop. So whatever your educated guess is, you need to have a reason why, because I'm one of those teachers that are always going to ask you, why do you think that? Like, you need to have some reason. Like, I think it means this because, okay. I just had another tech issue, guys. Like, this is vlog worthy because this could happen and you just gotta stay calm. So in between my classes, I had the tech person come to see about installing this microphone that I had, just so I can have clearer audio or better audio. And he came in and it wasn't working, so he said, I know you have class, so I'm going to leave, but I'll come back and figure it out. So I said, okay, that's perfectly fine. And so I start my Zoom meeting and my kids are like, we can't hear you at all. So I said, okay, well, let me end the meeting on my desktop, and I'll just do it from my Chromebook, and then we'll figure it out after class. So I tried that, and the audio on the desktop wasn't working. So there was just this big delay. So I just had to tell him I had to release an assignment on Google Classroom that wasn't going to be there until later. So I said, go ahead and work on that or any work that you have pending, and I'm calling the tech guy. So we got it all figured out, I think, and we're gonna finish class now. Well, hello there, guys. It's Friday. It's about 4:45. I'm getting ready to go home. I just finished filming a weekly check-in video with that tripod right there. I'm filming it from there. That seems like a good background, but I just realized I need to buy a new tripod because that tripod is not working. I stole that idea from Darren Nakakihara. He did that with his class last year. And on Mondays, we have like a 20-minute block in the morning that's really just devoted to weekly check-ins. My only issue with that is that you are only checking in with your homeroom, which is unfortunate. So the nice thing about having this video is at least my switch class also gets the video. So I just finished filming that. It's only a few minutes long. They're not very long. I'm all packed up. I'm getting ready to go. One thing I wanted to show you is this very fancy teacher bag that I got a few weeks ago. I even got my initials put into it. I was having a moment where I felt justified in making a luxurious teacher bag purchase because this school year I thought was going to be one for the books, and it is. As you saw earlier today, I had some tech issues where they couldn't hear me at all. So the tech guy came, he got that fixed, and then everything went well after that. Since I feel like I did a terrible job at kind of explaining what I was doing yesterday, I got a little bit of footage of me teaching, so hopefully I'm able to use that so you guys can kind of see what it looks like for me. For the most part, I'm always sitting here at my desk, and I try and mix it up. So I try and make sure there's plenty of time where I'm actually seeing the kids and they're seeing me, and then there's obviously times where I have to share my screen. So I wish I could be standing and moving about, but it's not really conducive to that. And so the other things that I've been working on today is just getting myself organized. I had to type this up for myself, really, because I just had a hard time understanding my schedule. So we don't start with each class the same time every day. So for example, on Mondays, I start teaching at 8. On Tuesdays, I start teaching at 9. On Wednesdays, I start teaching at 8:20. Thursdays, I start teaching at 9, and Fridays, I start teaching at 8:20. And even though the times aren't totally off, I'm not necessarily starting the day with the same group of kids, which is very confusing for all of us. Normally, if this were a normal school year, I would be starting class at the same time every day with the same kids in the same order. And so it's just been a nightmare knowing when a class starts, when a class ends. There's been a couple times where the kids had to tell me, Miss Robinson, class is over. So I just printed this out for myself. I've been organizing my Google Drive a little bit, and that's really it. What else? I think what's nice, one of the benefits of this situation is there are some things where it's causing me to slow down and be more precise and purposeful with my students, and the article of the week is one of those things. I think last year, I don't think we went super fast, but I think we still went too fast for some of my students in terms of what the requirement was. So in this virtual setting, in some ways it forces me to slow down because I can't have them highlighting. Well, I could. I don't know why I thought that, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show them the different colors of annotations, probably 1 or 2 a week. So these are all the different colors that they would use. And so today we just talked about annotating in blue. So we read an article about SpaceX. That was one of the news stories in vocabulary. We were annotating it through Cami. Just for blue though. And so next week we're going to continue to just work on the blues, but with the new article we're going to talk about Kamala Harris, and I think I might introduce a second color, but I haven't really decided. And I've also started introducing those annotation colors in Study Sync, because we did start the monkey's paw today. Less tech issues, still some like tweaks here and there that I need to figure out. My switch class, even though I upgraded my Cami account yesterday, some of them were still being told that they needed to upgrade, or their teacher needs to upgrade. I think that's because I was supposed to create an original assignment for them, and then it would automatically activate their upgrade. But instead of creating an original assignment for them, I just copied an assignment for my homeroom class, and I think that's why that happened. So we're gonna find out on Monday. But I didn't feel like I was gonna cry today. I willed myself to have a good day, and I feel like overall I did, except for that moment that you saw. And now I'm gonna go home and honestly work on some things to make sure I'm ready for next week, because you gotta stay ahead. So I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. I hope that it was helpful for those of you that are getting started or about to start, and if nothing else, I hope it was entertaining. But this is officially the point where I don't know, I can't guarantee that there's going to be another video next week. I'm just going to kind of do what I can as I can, but I'm glad I got this first week captured and the first day captured, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. And if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you follow me there, especially if you want to see me on a more regular basis than just like the sporadic nature that might become this channel over the next couple of months. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Smarty Style. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.